Now, we are maximalists, at least I am, and that is we believe that the Bible is true unless something is ever found to prove that it's not true, which has never happened. There have been some finds, as I told you, that are available for argument, but nothing that ever has definitively contradicted a single fact or statement in the Bible. With me? Now, one of the people in the Bible that is, we all know him, is a fellow named David. In English, what's his name? King David, of course. He fought Goliath. He ran away from Saul. He conquered Jerusalem. He built the Davidic Empire. He collected all the material for the temple. You know David, right? Okay. But David's name has never been found outside of the Bible or some biblical context. Meaning, Josephus mentions King David. Yeah, but that doesn't count. Because where did Josephus get his information? From where? From the Bible. Yes. So that's not an independent source for the name of David. You with me? This is the first independent source for the name of David. It's called the Tel Dan Stele. I sent you an article on it. Now you get to see it in person. A stele is like a gravestone. You know, a vertical, up and down gravestone with a rounded top. And it's usually a couple feet high. Sometimes it can be taller than me, but it's usually about 2-3 feet high. And kings used to inscribe victory, wonderful descriptions of victories that they had. Well, that's what this is. Found at Tel Dan, all the way in northern Israel, right up at the Lebanese border. This is found just like you see it, broken like this. We don't have the whole stele, but isn't it great that God provided us the part with the name of David in it? And you'll see it in silver letters. Do you see the silver letters? They were nice enough to make them silver for us. And this is a stele erected by the king of Syria, not Syria, but Bashar Assad, Syria, named Hazael, and he's commemorating a victory over Omri, the king of the northern kingdom, and he calls Omri Ben David, the son of David. Now, Omri was not the son of David. None of the northern kings were the sons of David. Well, this is a dumb Gentile. He doesn't know. All he knows is there was once a great king named David, so he just assumes if the guy's a king, he's descended from David. You with me? But the important thing is that this gentleman, Hazael, puts David's name on this stele because believing and knowing that David is a real person. In fact, David only lived 150 or so years before this stele. So, now we have external biblical confirmation that has nothing to do with the Bible that David did indeed exist. Now, this not only has important theological implications, in proving that the more we dig out of the ground, the more the Bible proves to be right. Okay. But it also has very important political implications because the Palestinians will say David never existed. He was a mythical person. The Jewish people made him up and made Solomon up and made up the fact that they conquered Jerusalem and had a kingdom. Simply to justify their present existence. We call this etiology, meaning people make up a history that justifies their current existence. You with me? And so therefore the Palestinians' position is the Jews don't have any more claim or right to Jerusalem than the man in the moon, because David never was even there. Well, now we know David was there. He did have a kingdom. Jerusalem belongs to the Jews, and that's the end of that. We'll talk about more. Crazy. Okay, come on over, you guys. Come on over and spread out. You guys can see really well over here. What we have behind me, why don't you stand back here, brother? What we have behind me is called a bas-relief. It's spelled B-A-S, but it's French. And the French swallow the second half of every word. You know that, right? I took French 3 times in my training, and I still can't speak a word of French because half the words not there. You know, they sound like they got a mouthful of marbles. Anyway, bas-relief, spelled B-A-S, pronounced B-A, means that the figures stand in relief. They're off of the background instead of an inscription where the figures are inscribed in the inscription or in the piece of rock. You with me? Okay, this bas-relief is all about our good friend down here, Sennacherib. Now, Sennacherib should be a familiar name to you because he's the fellow that surrounded Jerusalem, and Hezekiah prayed, and that night an angel came and destroyed 185,000 of his troops, the Bible said, and he went back to Nineveh with his tail between his legs, and his sons murdered him when he got home. Do we remember that from the 2nd Chronicles, the white section of your Bible? Do you remember that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Here he is in all of his glory. Now this bas-relief commemorates his attack on the Jewish city of Lachish. I got to stand there, please. Lachish. And the Bible mentions Lachish, L-A-C-H-I-S-H, Lachish, mentions in 2nd Chronicles that Sennacherib conquered the city, which exactly is what Sennacherib claims. Here's the city. Do you see the tower right here with the guys in the top of the tower shooting down arrows? You see them? And you see here the battering ram, the Assyrian battering ram going up to batter through the gate. And they're throwing down stones and rocks and clubs. You see it here? Here's another battering ram. See the battering ram here with the Assyrian archers behind it? So this is commemorating his taking that city. By the way, this is a facsimile. This was found on the walls of the palace of Sennacherib, but this is not the real bas-relief. The real bas-relief is in the British Museum. In fact, virtually every archaeological discovery from the Middle East is in the British Museum. They completely raped the Middle East, and they got so much stuff there they can't even display it, and yet they won't give it back. They took the Elgin marbles off the Parthenon. I mean, not good. Okay, so she get all mad at me because I touched it. It's a stupid facsimile. Anyway, on we go. So, the Assyrians were really mean people. They were cruel. They were brutal. Crucifixion had not been invented yet, so they used another way to punish their enemies. They impaled them. And here's a picture of them impaling enemy soldiers. Impaling means you take a long stick with a very sharp point on it, and you put it up a person's groin. And then you slowly let the weight of their body push that sharp point through your body cavity, slowly moving upward as your body slowly slides downward until it either gets to your heart or to your brain and kills you. These were brutal people. This is why Jonah did not want to go to Nineveh, to the Assyrians, and preach repentance. This is why he took the ship and went the other way. He wanted God to destroy these people. They were brutal, horrible people. You with me? Now, Sennacherib, and here down here we see them getting ready to impale some more people. See it down here? See here? Hello, class. Yes. Now, Sennacherib surrounded the city of Jerusalem, as we said, but he never took it. And on his prism, there's a thing called a Sennacherib prism. It's about this tall, has flat sides all the way around like a prism does. And on the Sennacherib prism, he records his conquest and the history of his reign. And he records on his prism that he took Lachish. Didn't he take Lachish? The Bible says he did. Yes, he did. But about Jerusalem, he says, here's what he says on the prism. He said, I shut up Hezekiah like a bird in a cage. And the Bible confirms that. He surrounded the city of Jerusalem, shut up Hezekiah, the king, like a bird in a cage. But the prism never says he conquered Jerusalem because what? He did. Believe me. You say, well, maybe he just forgot to mention it. No. If he'd have taken it, believe me, he would have mentioned it. So once again, the more we dig out of the ground, proves to be right. There's a facsimile of the Hezekiah prism in the Museum of the Bible. Some of you may have seen it. But that's a facsimile. Guess where the original is? Very good, class. Okay, let me come over here now. And let me show you this. This is the Siloam inscription. Now, Siloam should ring a bell if you know your New Testament. Where do we find Siloam mentioned in the Bible? Okay. John chapter 9. The man born blind. Jesus took him down to the pool of Siloam and healed him there. The pool of Siloam was a freshwater pool inside the ancient walls of Jerusalem, and it was supplied with water from outside the wall, from a natural spring called the Gihon Spring. And you remember how you walked through that tunnel at Megiddo that King Ahab built? Okay, that's just what this was. The spring was on the outside, the pool was on the inside, and Hezekiah cut a tunnel under the city wall through solid rock, 1,300 meters or so long. So, and it was tilted just a little bit downhill the whole way, so that he ran the water from the natural spring, the fresh water, into the city to the pool of Siloam, so they'd have water if they were ever surrounded and besieged. And then they covered up the spring with an artificial mound that was hollow in the inside. And the spring was still there, but from the outside, you could never tell it was there. You couldn't see it, you couldn't hear it. And people, like their enemies would say, where are these people getting all this water from? And the answer is it's running under the city wall into the pool of Siloam. Now this inscription was found on the side of this tunnel as a commemorative that they'd finished the tunnel. And the way this inscription tells us, the way they did it, is they started digging on opposite sides, 1,300 meters, just like the Trans-America Railroad, and they met in the middle. They only missed each other by 2 feet. Amazing engineering feat. The Trans-America Railroad